ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone today to the Silvon Insight web-based training. Today we'll be talking about navigation mostly and how to effectively navigate within Stratum and help you work smarter and faster and more efficiently. So essentially, we talk about concepts that help you reduce your time searching for things, increase your time for analyzing. And so some of that will revolve around finding your views, using parameter groups and prompts, drilling and filtering features and capabilities, and all of that helping you improve your analysis speed so that you can work smarter and faster. And so we'll talk about that a little bit and some of these concepts, and then we'll also look at a demo, and I'll show you how to set some of this stuff up. As always, we are looking at the Stratum Data Hub. We'll be talking about things that are within the web-based analysis portions because we'll be delving mostly into Viewer today, which is our web-based interface. So that's on the access side of things for Stratum. As you can see, there's different ways to get data out of Stratum other than using Viewer. You can also use our dashboarding. You can export to Excel. You can use our connectors if you have licensing for the Access Hub, and you can dump data directly down into Excel or Power BI. So stuff like that, getting data out of Stratum, there's different options. Today we'll be primarily focusing on navigation of the views within the Stratum interface of the web-based analysis. Some of the times, some challenging concepts that we need to talk about. Sometimes we spend too much time searching for things that we can't find, or we run a view and we spend more time just setting up our filters. Sometimes there's too many views. I see that a lot when I go into customer environments. There's thousands and thousands of views. Probably not the best concept. Inconsistent filtering. If there's filtering, you might have the same version of the view that might be filtered 16 different ways. Is that probably the most efficient way to do that? Probably not. So the goal here is obviously to alleviate some of these situations and to again work smarter, not harder, more efficiently. So let's talk about finding views. One of the key areas for finding views is certainly the either the search bar or the view pane on the left side, where you can expand and collapse that. Either way, those are both really quick ways of getting to the view that you're thinking about. The top search bar is excellent because you can actually search on a specific keyword. If you know the view name or if it has a specific keyword in it, you can just simply put that word in the area on the top of the interface, and then you're off and running typically. The view pane is another excellent way of getting access to your views. A couple of versions ago, we added the favorites and the recents area so that you can see what views that you've starred as a favorite. You can also get a running tally of the views that you've run historically. And then there's all of the views so that you can click on the All tab, and then you can see get access to all the views that have been made available to you. So that's the view pane. And so one of those two ways you can get to your views pretty quickly. And when you run your view, there's icons within the view that you can pursue for certain actions like emailing or downloading to Excel. So we'll cover off on some of those quick things that you can do within the view itself. And this allows you to maybe stay in fewer views, looking for different things where you now have the views that you targeted, and you're not out just willy-nilly looking for things. So using the favorite recents, like I said, use your go-to views there. You can star them at the top of the view. I'll show you quickly in the demo, and then you'll get basically a library of your own favorited views, and you can reorder those. You actually, if you're not aware of that, you can actually reorder the view sequence within your favorite part of the view pane. Again, recents, quickly revisit the work or the views that you've run prior. And then obviously this will reduce your time spent searching for things. And again, like I said, organize your favorites strategically so that you can just run down the list of the views you want to run. What are parameter groups? This is a great way to help filter the view before you even start your analysis. We call them parameter groups, but think of it as a just basically a way to query the user before they query Stratum. Example might be, when a user runs the view, to have them pick an account, a customer account, or a territory. That way, if they're not secured by territory, they can quickly just filter on the territory as needed. There's different options that you can have there. If you want to require them to fill that filter in, you can do that. If you don't, you can say, well, just filter it or not. If they could just click OK to bypass the filter question, and then proceed to the view and get all of the rows returned. It just depends on the intent of the user, and how you want them to navigate. So, and when I say you, I'm talking about security and view administrators. In the world of our web interface viewer, you have different levels of permission and security and authority. So only people that can really create global views are the security administrators and the view administrators. And typically these are the folks, these are your power users by department that will set up the view library, maintain the gold standard of views. And these are the folks that typically will set these type of things up. But however, if I do a save as on a global view, save it as my own, and I'm an advanced user, I can actually apply my parameter groups as well. So we're going to take a quick look at that and see how you set these up so that you can query yourself, query the group of users that you intend to push the view to, and make their experience faster, better, and more efficient. Save time versus the manual filtering option. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later. Again, why parameter groups matter. Think one click or just minimal clicks equals focused data, faster filtering, more consistency across the users, because again, you don't have all these different versions of the same view running around your application. Easier comparisons. It's just makes things more focused and easy. So parameter groups, we'll take a look at that. You can select a parameter set. It's quite interesting how you can set these up. You can set up multiple parameters. So if there's multiple view dimensions that you want to ask them about, you can do that and help them refine and instantly refine their results. You can also re-prompt yourself. So if you want to switch the filter, there's a button and a key icon, if you will, within the view that allows you to re-prompt yourself so you can change the filter. All right. And when you set this up, this is actually a really good tip. When you set these up, I'll show you in a second. You want to stick to using business user friendly names so that the folks out there know what you're talking about. Be short, succinct, because you can actually set up the prompt for them, and I'll show you how this is done. But you want to make sure that they understand what you're saying. So, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so that's the parameter groups. We'll show you how to set those up, but that's a great way to really kind of refine the user experience and help them focus down on certain things within the view. Another great way to navigate, obviously, is to drill, right? So that's one of the areas where this product shines, is its ability to drill up, down, around, anywhere you want to go. So drilling down, obviously getting you more detail. Drilling back up so that you can aggregate the data back up to perhaps where you started. Your view gives you more of a summary view of things, obviously. So we know that the drill down is easy to accomplish within the interface. Like I said, I'll show you. It's more of a toggle approach, right? You can drill in and then drill back by drilling in on that same value that you drilled in on. You can also drill on the header, drill on everything within that particular dimension. Whether you have a filter or not, you can drill on the entire set and then drill to that next level. I think that's a really powerful approach to build a nice looking subtotal report based on 2 or 3 or 4 levels, right? The concept here would be not to drill on the header if it's very highly populated. Probably not the best idea, maybe to drill on all your ship twos to item level. Not sure what purpose that would serve, and if you do need a report like that, you'd probably be better off running something offline so that it's not an online report. Navigation, obviously, drilling is certainly a way to navigate within the view. Um, you'll use your drill down capabilities, and don't forget the navigational panel on top of the view that helps you gain your bearings of where you are from a drilling perspective within your view. The View Explorer is a a great tool within the view to help you navigate as well. This will help you get a bird's eye view of the view so that you know what dimensions are there. You can reorder things. Helps you identify what measures you have, which one, what's hidden. Is it the View Explorer really does a great job of showing you anything that might be hidden within the view as well. So you definitely want to check out the View Explorer at some point. Another great concept is the drill to view concept. I'm not sure if you know that you can actually take a user from one view to the next. It's really easy to set up, and you can do it by measure. You can do it on your rows and columns, and take your user to another view that they might find interesting, that might answer some of their business questions once they exhaust the analysis within the original view. So now we're talking about drilling to another view as guided. You're guiding the user down a path, guided analysis. And I'll show you how to set that up as well. And then finally, drag to the view filter. You can drag things up to the view filter as a drilling style or technique. It's a great way to save space on the data grid if you just want to apply the filter, and it's a fast way to apply filters as well. I'll show you how to do this. A lot of users don't know how to do this very simple thing, so I'll show you how to do that as well. So the drilling concepts, obviously, big navigational concept within the interface. So definitely we'll take a look at that. Filtering and drilling together, of course, they go together as well, obviously. And that's why parameter groups, once we take a look at that, it'll really kind of drive what the view will look like once the user answers those questions, because the view might be drilled in on those components that they choose so that they don't have to drill in on them. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to the demo. But they go together, right? So you want to make sure that when you do provide filters within the view or parameter groups, whatever approach you take, make sure that the view is drilled in appropriately. When a user picks a specific component and they run the view, you don't want to have just one row of data based on what they've filtered on. It would probably provide more value if it was already drilled in on the levels below, and so the user can kind of hit the ground running in their analysis. So combine both of those for precision so that when the user hits the view, like I said, they're ready to go. So the workflow here would be, again, just as an example, you could put together workflows for your users. Open your favorite view, go to your favorites, apply a parameter group or answer a prompt, drill into the metrics, and then readjust the filters as needed. Really simple. You could certainly expand upon this, but just as an example of certain workflow examples, you can provide more detail if you'd like. I like the little graphic I have here to kind of tell them what are the best practices approaches for working smarter. So again, the key takeaways here: find, filter, drill. We can use parameter groups to help us with some of that. Drill to view for more guided analysis. Certainly want to take a look at that. Use the favorites and recents to find your views. Parameter groups can save time. Drill instead of searching. Again, if you drill, you're really applying a filter at the end of the day. So, a pretty simple but fundamental best practices to adhere to. That's my email and my phone number. So make sure you contact me if you have any questions, any about Stratum or any of the topics that we talk about today. Be glad to hear from you, and we could talk about any questions you might have. All right, so let's take a look at this in action. Here's the interface. We do have new classes that have been published. Today is the Navigate Faster, Work Smarter Looking out and beyond, we've got a lot of really cool, interesting classes. One in specific that jumps out at me is the AI class coming in June. We'll take a look at how we can use AI along with Stratum to really flesh out some key insights within the data that you might miss with your naked eye. Why not bring in AI and help you with your analysis? So we'll take a look at that. That's going to be a fun one on June the 4th, so don't miss it. All right, so finding views. Once we get into the interface, obviously, we have our view pane here on the left side where we can go in and see all of our views. If we know where it is, we can go right to it by opening and closing our view groups and finding the view that we need. If I can't find it, I can certainly fumble around and look for it here, but another great way to find it would be to search for it. So if I want something like sales units or something with like gross margin in it, we can type that in and just select enter, and it found a view with gross margin in it. And I can run the view from here as needed. Just click on the view, it then processes and returns the data to the screen. So that's a great way to find views up here, is to look for order view or order related views. Might have open orders in them, right? And I can go ahead and click on any one of these to go into these views, so I can take a look at my open orders. If I want to take a look at some of these, I simply click on them and it runs the view. Here is a great example. I just happen to click on this view and now it's asking me a question. It's asking me select a customer, right? So I can either type the customer name in, or I can go look for it by clicking on the filter and then supplying the list of customers that I want to see before I even run the view. I click OK, and now I've got the customer in there that I want to see before I run this view. So that's one way that you can present the prompt to prompt users to select some things before they run the view. Here I've selected a set of customers. This particular prompt gives me two options. I can go filter on these customers by searching and looking for them. And this does have a search filter as well. So you can search for keywords up here on the top. Or I can select the customer by using a drop-down. So here I can then select just one. I can't select multiples. So that's why this might be an easier thing to do for casual users, and then advanced users can come up and reassess and reselect this, and then select their customers as needed using the search capability. So this is a good example how you've given the user an option of how to select their customer here, right? Business, they've really kind of kept things simple by putting the prompt in there, select customers. It also tells us that if we leave it blank, we can get all of, so they've left that open for us so that we can see all the customers. But you can lock that down so that they can't do that. They must make a selection. So let's take a look at just these customers. I'll click OK to that. It runs then the view for just the selected customers that I selected. Notice how the filter is up in my view filter, and it's showing me the customers that I selected for the prompt. It's in my view filter, so it's not really cluttering my data grid down here on the bottom. So again, use the view filter as a great way to filter levels that you may not necessarily want to include in the data grid down here on the bottom. And now I've got all my open orders data here as well. If I want to reprompt and pick a different customer, I can go ahead and, to one of my key icons up here. We talked a little bit about that, dumping things down to Excel, emailing things to other users, or printing things out, all available. Here is the View Explorer. Like I said, a good bird's eye view of things that might be shown. Here we have some levels that are hidden. So I can take a quick look at this and see what's within the view at a bird's eye view. So View Explorer is a great way to reorder things. If I want to drag and drop some things around, I can do it right here within the interface. I can reorder the measures as needed. If I want this measure to come first, I can do that. So so that's the View Explorer. So make sure you check that out. The navigational pane up here on the top will show us the drill down. Notice how the view was already drilled in to the DC warehouse level. Again, so now we're talking about filtering and drilling, right? So we have this combination where once I selected my customers, it was already drilled in on DC, cutting me to the chase of DC product scenario. I don't have to do the drill. It's already drilled in, and I could just drill down here and see not only the data, but we have a nice little visual down there as well. So you have this option of, again, reprompting yourself as the user, reprompting and selecting a different set. Maybe this time I'll just select one customer from the dropdown. If I want to check Good Foods Western, a great way to just select one particular account. Here we can see that the filter has now changed. It's now filtered on the Good Food Western account. And again, still drilled in on DC product scenario, and I can cut to the chase right away to see what my open order amounts are. Okay, so we've got a lot of good information here, right? Just by using our parameter groups, reprompting ourselves, and selecting the specific filter as needed. And these are pretty easy to set up. I've got one here where I've got, let's run a view where we don't have one set up. So I run the view, it runs right away. It doesn't prompt me at all. So here's where I can open up my View Explorer and go into my parameter groups and set one up real quick. And I can show you how quick it is. I add a group first. I can rename this if I want. I can name it to my product brand group. Maybe if I wanted to just make this, for my sake, make it more business user friendly. So we have that. And then we want to add in the actual parameter. So we'll add in a parameter under that group, and we'll call it product brand 1. And because I might want to have more than just one parameter. And here's where I'm going to select how I'm going to query the user, whether I want them to select the member, use a list, a drop down. We saw that. We saw the select members as well. So we'll go ahead and choose select member for now. And then here we also have the prompt. So we want them to select a product brand, select some product brand. And we could do like something like that where make sure that they know that they can select more than one. So that's our prompt. The filter mode should probably be defaulted to include, but you could certainly change that to exclude. You can even put a default value in. So if you know some of the more popular brands, you can have that pre-populate as a default. And when they run it, the display text will show the product brand description, the value. So you want to make sure that by default it's the view. So we'll leave that on. So let's go ahead and apply this, and it will ask us immediately for that product brand if we apply it. And there it is. So there's our prompt. There's our default value. There's our default situation for include, exclude. Here's the display text for the comparative sales prompt parameters. Yeah, so this looks pretty good. And then I can go ahead and just run this using the defaults. So let's go ahead and do that. So that runs, and boom, there, right away, it shows us the two. But it might behoove us to have this drilled in on something so that, again, 2 rows of data doesn't really mean much. So now I've drilled on the header, just like we talked about in the presentation, so that it's drilled in on both, in this case, both product brands. So if I save this, so now the parameter is saved to the view. So the next time I run this view, if we go to our recents, we can click on the view, and it now will prompt me immediately before the view gets run, before I see any data. As you can see, I get prompted immediately, and I do see the defaults. Maybe I don't want them this time. So instead of those, I add in these. I deselect the defaults. Maybe I can do a control left click to select certain things in a certain order. So I want these 3 brands. Boom, I click OK. I see their numbers up there. It looks good. I click OK, and I cut right to the chase. I hit the ground running. I've got product brand and product in my scope. The view is focused. I'm working smarter and faster, more efficiently. And I can roll this out to masses of my users, right? Because this will work for everyone. Instead of having their own little custom filter here, there, and everywhere, you've got one view serving up thousands, hundreds, if not thousands of users. Some of you might have thousands of users. I don't know. But yeah, so now this is saved away, and my prompt is really making this way more efficient in terms of that. Okay, so a lot of things we did here that combined in. We saw how we can drill. Here's our navigational pane. Obviously, and it might behoove you to clean some of this up, get rid of levels that you're not using, right? Drill to view. If we were to take a look at how to use the drill, maybe I want to take a user to another view. There's different ways that you can do that, but notice how I've got hypertexted data columns here, which, as you can see, if I click on any one of these, like for instance, tip top, the 7400, if I click on that, it actually takes me to another view where it shows me that 74, that's 7 mil, I should say, 7.4 mil. And it shows me that trended by month. So it basically takes me from this view, which is a time range view. It doesn't really show me the monthly amounts. It just shows me year to date, right? So for Dewdrop, it's got 7.2 mil. Well, I'd like to see how that extrapolates throughout my months, so I can get a better feel for seasonal curves. Whether there were months where we saw some lost sales scenarios or dips that we didn't anticipate, business interruptions. So that 7.2, I click on it and look, that 7.2 now is spread across my months. Very fast, very quick. I didn't have to build a thing. Well, I did, initially, but once I roll this out to my masses, they don't need to build or think too much about navigation, which is what we don't want them to do. We want them to think about the business. We want them to think about how to make their job easier and better, and so that they make more money and spend more time with the customer. So, these are the concepts that you want to use within the interface to make their experiences way more efficient, way more efficient. So that's drill to view, and you can do it by column. So in this column, we're taking them to a trend style view. This column over here is current month sales versus the current month of the prior year. So we're dogging it a little bit, but again, we're not done with the month. So what do you think the user might want to know here? Well, what's open? Like, we know it's closed. This is what we shipped for Tip Top. So if I click on that, well, that particular link sends me to an open order review. And it filters like the other one did. It filters on Tip Top. So now I've got all the open orders in what's available in the hopper that we have yet to ship. So I have a better feel for this past due shipments that haven't shipped yet, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. What's going on? Current week, next week. So this is my next month out, essentially. Let's get these orders out so we can meet last year's open order, or that might be a budget number, whatever goal you want to meet. Now you've got the visibility so that the user can make the appropriate decision without fumbling around the interface, looking, how do I do this, that, or the other? And if you notice, if I hover over that, it actually tells the user what they're going to see by using the pop-up text. So when you set all that up, again, you'll go into the View Explorer. You'll set this up under Properties menus. So for instance, for this property menu here, if I right-click on that column header and open up the Properties menu, and I drag and drop that up, we can see down here at the bottom that we've got the Drill to View set up for open orders for that Properties menu for that measure. So you just simply turn that on, and then you go out and select the view that you want them to drill to. It's that simple. So really no excuse not to use that powerful feature to drill to view.